Folks, this is Jason and hope you are okay today. We are going to be looking at the Jesus Seminar. This is a bunch of scholars that have been around for quite a few years now. They often hit the headlines, and basically they're important scholars that we need to take note of. Now, I don't agree with them. There are many New Testament scholars out there and scholars in historical Jesus studies, many that do not agree with these scholars. But I think it's important to just know who these people are and why they're important and how we can give an intellectual response to them. Some of the main people of the Jesus Seminar is Robert W. Funk and John Dominic Crossan. Dominic Crossan is a world-renowned scholar. There's over 30 professional scholars and about 100 associates to this group. They are influential New Testament scholars. The whole point of the seminar is to compile or bring together the original words of Jesus by deciding on a scholarly consensus. From this, the seminar seeks to popularize the research that they found. A number of works have been written by the group on the Gospel of Mark, sayings of the Gospel of Q, the Gospel of Thomas, etc. The basic ideas of the seminar are as follows. They basically believe that Jesus taught his disciples orally and that Jesus wrote nothing. They believe that the Messiah spoke Aramaic and the Gospels were written in Aramaic and the Gospels were written in Greek. And they give priority to the Gospel of Mark before Matthew and Luke. Now, some of these information we would agree with. We would agree that the Lord Jesus spoke in Aramaic. We would agree that the Gospels were written in Greek. But then it gets a bit murky. They talk about Luke and Matthew bring together another source called the Q material. That's something that some scholars would disagree with. They also would talk about that ancient culture is not the same as modern culture, and we would agree with that, especially in the area of oral tradition. But then there are some serious departures. These scholars put a lot of emphasis on the Gospel of Thomas, which we would say is not that important. They would say that the Gospels were written after AD 70. Conservative scholars would put the Gospels prior to AD 70. The Jesus Seminar put a wedge between the Jesus of history and the Jesus of faith. In other words, we can't really get to the real historical Jesus. And they would clearly state that the Synoptic Gospels are more historical than the Gospel of John. They have some methodological issues. They say that oral tradition is fluid, but there is a variety of different oral traditions. There is historical oral tradition, etc. that they're not up to speed at the moment. They need to be a bit more up to speed on that kind of research. So what do we what if you had to get a kind of picture of the Jesus seminar Jesus, they would say that Jesus had no real relation with the 12, that he didn't know that he was going to suffer, or didn't say anything about that, and that he didn't do any miracles, and he was not judgmental. Basically, it's a kind of middle class, touchy, feely good Jesus that they've invented. It has to be noted that these scholars are not representative of the whole field of scholarship in New Testament studies. There are many scholars that are not represented within their group. This is just one specific group, and there are many other groups and many other scholars that take a different opinion. The criteria of dissimilarity is also suspect. They put a lot of emphasis on that as scholars. They would say something is historical if it doesn't accord with Judaism or Christianity. So if you find some historical information within the Gospels that doesn't report to be Jewish or Christian, then it's probably authentic. That's a very dangerous way of going about historical research. Really, I think it's a flawed methodology, because obviously Christianity is rooted in Judaism, and Christianity had its own feel. So to say that we can't really appreciate these two aspects as being really historical, to my mind, is just crazy. The seminar people push out eschatology or end times about Jesus. They don't put much emphasis on that. Basically, these scholars often make the historical Jesus purport to their own cultural perspective. So Dominic Crossan, who's one of the leading lights of this group, has written quite a lot about Jesus, and I quite like him. I think he's a wonderful man and a wonderful scholar, but I completely disagree with him, and I believe that he's just completely not biblical and not sound in his understanding of true Christianity. But he kind of makes a Jesus in his own image. He's Irish, and so the Irish rebelled against the British Empire to get back the nation, and so basically Jesus is some kind of like Irish revolutionary, kind of travelling philosophical kind of social do-gooder type of thing. So so what I'm saying is, these Jesus seminar scholars, because of their arbitrary historical methods, will often produce a Jesus in their own image. Those are my thoughts on the Jesus seminar. Don't be frightened of them. If you hear them in the news and you hear them, don't be worried about them. There are plenty massive scholars out there that you can read that debunks these kind of people. N.T. Wright, just go and read N.T. Wright, and well, you're in a different world when you read N.T. Wright. Okay, so thank you for listening, and take care, and God bless.